Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Tower Talk Business Radio brings you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation, including expert consultants and small business owners who have found success, but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their first-hand experience. And now, let's get down to business with Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation.
Hello, and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of NFQ Business Banking, along with Donyshia Boston Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand marketing and digital agency, and we're proud to bring you the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship.
Ray and I bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders in the industry.
So, it's another week.
Ray, we're here again.
A lot of excitement.
Yeah, it's a lot of bubbling happening out here on Long Island. Business owners, award shows, award presentations, and just great things.
Love that season. And, there's so many nonprofits that are doing such amazing work. So it's just really cool. I was at something recently. I was at the Imagine Awards.
Nice.
And learned that there are 3,500 nonprofits on Long Island.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the figure before, but hearing it that night really brought it home. And, it's amazing that the work they do, and we really should have that in the news more often. So we're going to do our best to do our part in that. Helping provide us with business empowerment today is an inspirational leader in this area. Welcome our guest, Bob McGuire, Executive Director of CP Nassau. Bob, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here this morning, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about our organization and the good work that it does.
We're so happy to have you, Bob.
Yeah, we love you. CP Nassau recently celebrated their 70th anniversary. They're excited to continue their mission of providing the highest quality programs and services for children and adults in their programs. Family-centered and comprehensive full-day outpatient services are provided to 1,500 consumers annually, offering treatment and rehab for individuals with a wide range of disabilities, including but not limited to cerebral palsy, epilepsy, muscular dystrophy, and visual and speech impairment. So, Bob, tell us how you got started on this journey to working with CP Nassau.
Well, I actually came out from the Bronx 37 years ago next month.
Wow.
Having not appreciated what you just mentioned, the amount of not-for-profits and the vast amount of support that they provide to the community is really astonishing. And so 37 years ago, I joined the agency, kind of a lower middle manager, to help open up one of our first large homes, a 48-bed what's called an intermediate care facility in Bayville, which still currently operates and provides such great home life to 48 individuals with very severe disabilities. Wow. The agency itself, as you said, now we're entering our 71st year.
Wow. Time
flies quickly.
Yes.
And when you go back in history, say, well, what happened over this period of time? And I think it's important to note that 71 years ago, parents with children with disabilities looked out at a world that wasn't very embracing and did not have any supports. The Cerebral Palsy Associations didn't exist, the ARCs didn't exist, and there was no federal law mandating education. So a lot has changed to the better.
Yes.
The transition over these many years has brought us to where we are today, as you mentioned, and we are a multifaceted agency that, however, continues to have the same philosophy as our parents created this agency to have, which is, what do our guys need? Yeah. How do we provide for them? Not have, forgive me, a bureaucrat or an administrator decide what's best, but rather listen to the children, adults, and their families and have them participate in the leadership of the agency. And that began 71 years ago and continues today.
Awesome.
Now, can you tell us a day in the life at CP Nassau?
Wow. Well, that's a great question, and my visualization is this, and it's a change again. Mm-hmm. Over the last 2 years, we began to invest heavily in what's called a MOVE program. MOVE stands for Mobility Opportunities via Education. And when we began, we realized that MOVE equipment's been around a long time, but unless you dedicate a program to it, including personnel, then it's just equipment that doesn't get the same use and maximum advantage is if you're dedicated to it. So we decided to invest. And in doing so, make sure we have the staffing that supports the MOVE program. So what is that done? I'll give you an example. We have our children, many of them use wheelchairs, and they're in their wheelchairs all the time. Today, if you came to our school this morning, you would see children getting off their buses in a wheelchair, going right into our auditorium and getting into their MOVE equipment and walking to their classrooms.
Wow.
These are children that did not walk before. It's with the use of equipment. It's teaching them how to think, change their muscle training, change their brain training. And as a result, we have what we are seeing is miraculous outcomes.
That's incredible. And seeing the equipment in action, what I found very inspirational, and I forget where it was said, I read it somewhere as well, one of the consumers, he was just so happy to be able to, talk with someone, look them right in the eyes.
It's a great comment. That self-esteem, independent movement. A child in a classroom can get up and go to the blackboard, to the smartboard, and engage with his peers differently than he could if he were in a wheelchair and would need to have a staff person bring him to a site. So it's changed there. It also changes the caregiver's life.
Right.
One of the celebrating moments that we had for our 70th, one of our children spoke about what the equipment has done for him and why he likes it. And he said, I like it because it helps my mother. He's able to sit up and assist his mom in dressing him in a way that he never had been before. 2 years before that could not have occurred. I witnessed this week, there's a child who's only 6 years old that could not lift her head off her lap tray.
Wow.
She is now walking, holding the hand of a therapist, not even always using the equipment. So there are miraculous opportunities that we have taken the chance and invested in. And candidly, we had to do a lot of fundraising to support this. And we've been fortunate to be successful there. And we've also been able to convince school districts. And that was a big hurdle, to convince the school district that this is part of their education. A child is going to succeed greater if they have the, again, self-esteem and the opportunity to engage as in a maximum way. So that's one moment in our time. I can tell you, the other night we had a wine tasting at the Chateaubriand, and at that wine tasting, we always talk about at events, we'd love to bring the guests that are at the event into our building, but people are busy, schedules are busy, so we try to bring our building into the event, and in doing so, be able to talk to our audience in a way that gives them a little bit of the insight into what's a day at CP. So Charlie Fleisch, one of our adult consumers, who uses an eye gaze light talker, told the audience about being the second person in America to use a computer when he was 7 years old to help him speak.
Wow.
And spoke about that a mom shouldn't have to wait until 7 years to hear their son say, I love you. But he was able to do that with a communication device. So our augmentative communication program is as important as our MOVE program and almost any other program that we have. We're very invested in getting that word out to the public that this is a service that can be a real advantage to a parent. A child who's in a wheelchair, a mom and dad at 3 or 4 years old might think the life is already scripted. There's not going to be many changes. But we think there can be. And coming to our school, we can give you that opportunity.
I need to tell my sister about your organization.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, and our guest today is Bob McGuire, Executive Director of CP Nassau. I don't know why I left you out there. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm along with Donyshia Boston.
I'm here too.
She's here too. Yes, we're both here.
We are. Could you share with us, how does someone go about getting involved in CP Nassau, arranging some of the programs, or being a part of the amazing services you provide?
Well, it depends on whether you're a child or an adult. And by the way, one of the things that I think is lost sometimes is that we don't serve people with developmental disabilities. We serve adults who have onset of disabling events, whether it be Parkinson or ALS. We're able to assist those individuals through their travels, through something that they might not have thought they'd ever engage in. Individuals with traumatic brain injuries are also served in our agency. So how would you get to know us? Well, one way is to go online and look at www.cpnassau.org and be able to get a real great insight into our organization. But any phone call to our agencies, we would refer you, whether it's for medical needs or for school. School, of course, it goes to a normal school district or Department of Health if it's a preschool program. But that would be the entree into our school program. In an adult area, call our agency, get online with our agency, and we'll get in contact with you.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I want to mention is, we discussed the experience. I was fortunate enough to be able to take a tour, and I want to say I was there maybe about 2, maybe even 3 hours. And it went by so quick, almost as quick as Avengers Endgame. But seriously, I mean, it was just so inspirational to speak to the consumers in the program and to the staff. Everyone is so engaged and incredible. And so I have to give a shout out to you. You have an amazing, amazing place and amazing staff. And one way I think that the public can also experience, what's going on at CP Nassau is the wonderful event that you partner with Lou Panicciulli. I every year I need to bring tissues with me because to see the band, the singer's creation, I'd like you to speak a little bit about that. That is just an incredible experience.
Sure, and we thank Nephew for being one of the sponsors of our Tiller Center engagement with Lou Panicciulli and the Nassau Pops. Lou Panicciulli is a special man. Yes. We've had a singing group called Creation for quite some time. We've gotten a little bit more sophisticated over the years as we've been able to create a recording studio that is very legitimate. But Lou brings out the best talent of our singers in engaging them in a way that I think helps them have confidence. So they've been singing at the Tiller Center now for 17 years.
Wow.
And each time they sing, Ray, you mentioned bringing a tear to your eye. I'm exposed to this all the time. And they start to sing, and I think, wow, they sound terrific.
Yeah.
And what an opportunity for an audience that might not be either comfortable or familiar with individuals with disabilities to see that they can be as entertaining as an individual who doesn't have a disability. And again, Lou Panicciulli and the Nassau Pops Symphony Orchestra does a great job in helping bring out the best of our creation's talents. And delighted that every year we have well over 1,000 people sitting in the audience listening to that and being engaged in a way, again, that some people might not be exposed to, and that gives them some exposure. That's great education.
Lou's fantastic.
Oh, my goodness. And the performance always blows me away. It's just incredible. As you said, it's just a great entree to understand, what's going on at the organization. So tell us about some of the other programs you have at CP Nassau. I mean, you have Move, you have Creation. What about the traumatic brain? I'd like you to talk a little bit about that because I wasn't aware of that initially.
So one of the things that happens to an individual with a traumatic brain injury is they're brought into a world of disabilities that they never were prepared for. Okay. The families weren't prepared to have a family member that one day is independent and functioning well to the next day where they have such a injury that they need full care or they need certainly different assistance than they ever needed before. Perhaps one of the better stories that happened rather recently where a man who had a traumatic brain injury had no will to live, as his family told us. And as he came to our program, he wasn't a very, very eager participant. And at some point, his daughter was going to get married. And he said he wanted to dance at his daughter's wedding. And that motivated him to engage in our physical therapy in a different way than he had been before. And as a result of that, he danced at his daughter's wedding. That would not have occurred without the assistance of our great staff at the center. And again, his will to do it differently than he had been.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Bob McGuire, Director of CP Nassau. My name is Donyshia Boston Hill, along with Ray Schwetz on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
It's 4 a.m. and you're sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. If you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Donyshia Boston Hill, along with Ray Schwetz, and our guest today is Bob McGuire, Executive Director of CP Nassau.
So, I wish I brought tissues today because it's happening again.
I see you're turning like beet red over here.
I'm holding it back. So we touched upon your staff, and I'm sure you'd love to talk a lot about some of the incredible staff members that you have. So you have somebody sitting next to you.
Here with you today.
I have Pat Quinn, who's our community leader here.
Community outreach manager, and I love my job at CP Nassau. It's a wonderful place.
Yes, and Pat, you're amazing. I see you at so many events. Always smiling, always positive.
Oh, thank you, Ray. I really, CP Nassau helps me be that way. It's such an incredible place, wonderful staff, wonderful leadership. Yes. It's an honor and a privilege to work there, really. And I feel each day we all make a difference, so it helps us all feel good about what we do, and that makes us smile and be positive each day.
So, Ray, one of the things you mentioned is when you did the tour of the facility, how impressed you were. So when I give tours once a week or whatever it might be to a guest, I'm still in awe. Watching our staff engage, whether it be with the children or the adults, is inspiring. And many times guests will say to me, when they came, they thought they were going to see a place that was sad and morose.
Correct.
And instead what they see is life. Mm-hmm. Our guys, children and adults, want what you and I want. They want the Mets to win. They want a good lunch. They want a good dinner. They want to engage with their friends. They want to have an opportunity to do the same things we want to do. And so when you visit our agency, you see that that's taking place. Some of that is being helped considerably by the technology. The amount of communication devices that people can, again, engage with someone without having to play 20 questions or to spell out letters because of the advanced technology that exists today, again, even with a light talker, so someone who does not have great control of their hands or their head can still, with their eye, engage a computer and speak for them. And that is pretty impressive.
That's incredible.
Our goal, frankly, is to become a lift-free environment. What does that mean? We have a lot of lifting that we do for our children and our adults. Puts a strain on staff. It puts a strain on it back. If we could become a lift-free environment where children and adults can help in the care, that will be a great benefit to every one of the caregivers that engage our children and our adults. We think we can do that with the MOVE equipment. We think we can change the future medical conditions of our children, and we intend to move this into our adult program also. And by that I mean humans are intended to be standing up, to be moving around. And all of those advantages of movement that we have, many of our individuals who are very disabled don't have that same advantage. We intend to change that. We want our children 20 and 30 and 40 years from now not having aspirated pneumonia, not having physical maladies that we think are avoidable through movement.
Yeah, and I mean, you're doing an incredible job. One of the words I would also use when describing CP Nassau is that human connection. You're doing it on so many different levels. So there's the staff connecting with the consumers. There's the staff connecting with one another. There's the connections that you have to other nonprofits, and such as your partnership with Lou, and also the community. I'd like to see other nonprofits use what you guys do as a model. Because I think really at the end of the day, that connection between the organizations, it only helps everyone be more successful.
There's no question about that. And I think it really does drive from our history. Mm-hmm. Once again, our parents were the ones that put us online to say, this is my child, and I want my child to have the same opportunities as the rest of the world might have. And that's not lost. Many of our board members have family members served in our agency. So we have watchdogs that have a very big invested interest, and that's a good thing. And it's a good partnership to have, and it just keeps everybody on track.
Now, I know we have Pat here today, and she's your event expert in residence. So, Pat, can you tell us a little bit about some of the events that you participate in at CP Nassau?
Sure, yes, I'd be happy to. I'm part of the fundraising department, and we all work very hard. We are inspired by all the things we just talked about here to do our best to raise funds for the agency and to raise awareness. That's a big part of our events. We the other night just held the Taste and Toast the Town event at the Chateaubriand, and it was a great experience. We had about 300 people, and terrific. We were very grateful to the Scotto brothers, who do a lot for us, and all the participating restaurants and the sponsors and the people that donated. So many people came together to make it wonderful, and that's what's great about our events. The next event we're holding is our annual golf event, which is always a sellout. It's at North Hills Country Club in Manhasset on August 1st. In November, we are going to have our third annual 5K walk, run, roll, stroll. So if you're not doing the New York City Marathon, we expect you to be there. It's the same day. Good way to remember.
That's a lot easier.
Yes, absolutely. But we've had wonderful turnouts for that. We have a lot of our participants in their wheelchairs are using their walkers alongside staff, family members, volunteers. It's a great day, so we encourage everybody to come to that, and we raise a good amount of money from that. After that is the concert that we spoke about already. Our theme this year is the Bee Gees. Lou Panachuli is a big fan of the Bee Gees, and we're going to be having a local Long Island Bee Gees tribute band join us, and I hear people are already waiting in line to buy tickets. They love the band so much, so that's going to be a wonderful thing. And Creation will be singing at that, which is always terrific. Yes. We have our formal ball after that in early November. But then one of our big events is the Festival of Trees. This year is our 30th annual Long Island Festival of Trees, held right down the road at the Cradle of Aviation Museum. We love partnering with them. We're going to have about 40 designer-decorated trees. Some of them are by community groups. We have high school art honor societies do gorgeous creative trees. The Nassau County Homemakers. We have the Suffolk Crochet Group. We have all sorts of groups that do beautiful trees that we then sell. So we hope local organizations will think about that, buying a tree. We deliver it within 20 miles of the Cradle of Aviation. So the first week in December, you'll have a fully decorated tree delivered to your home, and the money you pay for it will go to CP Nassau to help our programs and services. Let's see. We also, next year, we'll have our Trivia Challenge, which we have every year. The championships bring together all Nassau community elementary schools and high schools. The championships are in February. And then we have our annual Polar Bear Plunge in Oyster Bay, which will be in March as well. So lots of opportunities for the public to get involved, and we encourage everybody to do so.
Ray, I don't recall seeing you in the water.
I have done it before, yes. I have.
I can't wait to see photos.
I'll have to get a little brave for the next one, I guess. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston Hill. Our guest today is Bob McGuire, Executive Director of CP Nassau. I've done the Polar Bear Plunge before. I did it with the Make-A-Wish Foundation a couple of years. But I think the timing, you do yours in a different, is it January or you do yours in March?
We do ours in March.
In March, yes. Okay. So you know what? You're doing it during a slightly warmer time. Maybe
you may take the plunge.
I didn't do it last year, but maybe
just for the record, the water is colder in March in Oyster Bay than it is in the ocean.
You can't tell him that, Bob. His face, he's already scared.
Right, no, I appreciate it. No, it was fun. The first year I did it, there were icicles on my legs when I came out.
Wow.
That's how cold it was outside. So sometimes it's not too bad as long as the outside air is not colder than the water.
This is a lot of excuses, Ray. Yeah. I think it's all about for a good cause here.
I'm getting a little stressed out. No, I'm just kidding.
We select the date next week. You'll be the first to know.
There. Send me the email.
I'm starting to see tears in your eyes again, right?
No,
he's having flashbacks.
Yeah. I'm starting to... I'm crying out of stress. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, I'm hearing about all the great work you guys are doing. Do you have any connection with the Special Olympics? Do you do anything with that organization?
Our connection really is with the Victory Games, the Nassau County Games for the Physically Challenged, which take place also nearby here at Mitchell Field. We actually were just the site for the press conference to announce this year's games, and that brought together a lot of local businesses and and nonprofit groups. And Susan Gordon Ryan is the person who started the Victory Games, I think 30 years ago. But she is a great friend to our agency, and she was there for the press conference. And we had our students involved. A lot of them spoke about what participating in the games has meant to them. And they also brought up the fact that they can use the MOVE equipment and our augmentative communication equipment, to have them do their best at the games. And the kids were grateful for that equipment, and they all said how happy they were to be part of CP Nassau and the Victory Game. So it was a wonderful day.
That's really cool. I'd like you to talk a little bit about some things, because you mentioned before when you take the tour, you see a lot of things you didn't expect. What are some of the things that go on at CP Nassau that people don't realize that maybe you're a resource for them?
Well, we have a wonderful sports team.
Yeah.
You mentioned the games. We have a sports team called
the CP Thunderbolts.
CP Thunderbolts. And what's their expertise? Their expertise is bocce.
Oh.
And cool. We have a dedicated coaching staff. They practice every Tuesday and Saturday. Our athletes have traveled the world in engaging in international competition, and several of our athletes have gotten awards over the years. So some people are throwers, and some people require a coach who sits opposite, looking in their eyes, and the athlete directs the coach on how to pitch the loop that the ball, it's not called a ball, I know, but goes through. So that's a really wonderful event. And talk about normalization. People with disabilities want to have a chance to win and lose also. Our coach, Mary C. Hodge, is this year won the National Volunteer Coach of the Year for the Olympics. That's the regular Olympics and the Paralympics. She is the head Paralympic coach and has been for many years. And she's the head of our team. And she came to us 20 years ago and said, I know there are lots of opportunities for children and adults to compete, but most of that is not win-lose. And I'd like our guys to have the same opportunity to feel victory and to experience defeat in extreme competition. And she has dedicated herself to that. And again, many of our younger guys who have grown up from our school and now are adults are engaged in competitive sports in a way that many people wish to do. Not everybody does, but Mary is right 20 years ago, and we have a very successful sports team as a result of that. We also have tremendous volunteers. So any day that you come into our facility, there's a myriad of different people doing different things, whether it be reading to the children or whether it be selling in our curiosity shop donations back to the staff or even to our children and adults that we serve at very reasonable prices. And then they give that money to different things for our agency's need. So it's a help win-win circumstances as an outcome. Ray, again, I'll go back to our staffing. One of the things in my 37 years of being in the agency that I continue to be impressed with is the enthusiasm of our staff, and frankly, I think our children and our adults are the magnets. They're the reason why so many of our staff are with us 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. We have over 350 of our staff who have been with us over 10 years.
Well, we are so happy to have you here today, both you and Pat. And we heard your website. Can you tell us that website once again to contact you?
It's www.cpnassau.org. And we welcome people getting in touch with us. We need volunteers. We have job opportunities. And come to our events.
I'd like to leave you with DB's philosophy. Never believe that a few caring people can't change the world. For indeed, that's all who ever have. Margaret Mead.
Yes, thank you for being with us, Bob and Pat.
Oh, our pleasure.
Thank you for the opportunity to engage in conversation with you and for your listening audience.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. The creative director of Tower Talk Business Radio is Rudy Breedy. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk with you next week.